This is the Bill Murphy Show, Season 2, Episode 1. This podcast is made possible by an underwriting from Millennium Laser Eye Centers, a local partner and a national institution. Worth the trip from anywhere to beautiful Fort Lauderdale, Florida for your LASIK procedure from Dr. Corey Lesnar and his staff. Visit them at havelasik.com. Millennium Laser Eye Center. You won't believe your eyes. And now, with the familiar, soft, comforting podcast introduction music out of the way, here's today's show.
It's the Bill Murphy Show, featuring people from all walks of life, the best in the business, from behind the scenes and on the stage. Available by subscription for free on iTunes and at BillMurphyShow.com. Brought to you by
you, if you'd like to become part of the show, drop me an email at murph@BillMurphyShow.com. We can make your business a presenting sponsor, become partners, and be heard worldwide together.
And now, here's your host, Bill Murphy.
And we're back with a whole new phase, a whole new season, and a whole new attitude with the Bill Murphy Show at BillMurphyShow.com. I want to first thank everybody that's hung in there with us. It's been on the back burner for a little while, but we're bringing it back, and we appreciate you continuing to like our Facebook page. Apparently, it's been 3 years since we did a new show, and all of the archives sit up there still getting hits from all over the world, at least a few dozen times a day, which is great. We appreciate you spreading the word and sharing. It's so much easier now to experience the podcast. Everybody knows how to do it now. You find it on iTunes. You can just go directly to iTunes, search Bill Murphy Show, and it'll come up there, and you can listen to new episodes. You can subscribe and even tell your phone not to download new episodes so that you don't take up unnecessary space. Just check in at BillMurphyShow.com every once in a while for a new show. The goal is to learn something every episode. We're going to speak to people from all walks of life. We will cover all industries. We'll talk about infrastructure, education, entertainment, medicine, sports, economy, law enforcement. Notice I didn't say politics per se. Of course, everything can lean down that path, but we will shoot for getting you to learn something new in every episode. Today, to get things off the ground, I've got Diana Woods, who is the author of Let Your Soul Shine Now. And thanks for joining me. Boy, it's like pulling teeth trying to get you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Diana
nice to
is
be here.
Unnecessarily nervous about this exchange. You're very brave with your words and sending out your emails, but it's a little more difficult with the public speaking, huh?
It definitely is. Definitely a little bit out of my comfort zone. Behind the computer writing, easy as pie.
Now,
saying it out loud.
What's your daily affirmation of the day? Or is Let Your Soul Shine, first of all, is this just a weekday thing?
Each weekday.
So you have no Let Your Soul Shine Now theme for today?
I give you a break on the weekend to practice.
I want to let people know how to do this because you'll receive an email from Diana every morning, kind of inspiring words. And we're going to get into where you get all the sources of all these great words and then sort of summarizing them all together into one theme. And we'll talk a little bit about all that in a little bit. But I want to go back and see how you got started in this. Where did your inspiration to be inspirational come from? Did you have some sort of an experience as a young child that sort of was otherworldly, perhaps?
That's funny that you say that. You know, I never thought of myself as a writer. I never kind of grew up and said, I want to write. This is something I have to do. But one thing I did was always inside was just wanting to share information. So I kind of was always like that. I remember, 16, 17 years old, I used to gather information from magazines and thought, I'm going to write a book someday with all these hints so people can have them. I never did anything with it, but that innate feeling of wanting to gather information and share and make people happy or inspire them or teach them something was just always there. So then I started doing a lot of self-discovery work, and I like to separate it from, a lot of people call it, quote-unquote, self-help. Well, self-help has such a negative connotation, and it's really self-discovery. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to discover ourselves, to remember who we are. That's what I believe.
I'm noticing, and I think this period of time we're living through right now sort of lends itself to this too. I think we all need to be a little more aware of who we are and discovering ourselves. When we get into sort of these confusing times that we're in right now, where things seem a little bit like in flux, transitional, and obviously a lot of this depends on your age at the time, but also a lot of what's going on around you can influence this as well.
What's going on around you, and then really how you receive it.
Right.
You know, the goal, I think, for all of us is to have that peace inside, because we all want to feel good, because feeling good attracts good. And so the goal at the end of the day would really to be a mountain with all the chaos around you that doesn't affect you. So to do that every day, you have to practice. You have to practice knowing yourself inside and out, and that's that self-discovery, so that nothing outside you affects you. So that person that cut you off didn't affect you. So that person who called you a jerk today didn't affect you, because it's not you. That's not about you. It's about them.
You know, is there some sort of a stigma attached? I mean, you mentioned the whole kind of stigma that self-help has. That expression has sort of gotten a little bit of I don't want to say negative, but people seem to kind of shy away from that term. And on the same note, I find myself pretty able to give people advice in situations if somebody presents something to me and I can offer up some sort of objective look at it and give the advice. But I seem to have a lot of difficulty giving that same advice to myself or hearing it from other people. Is this a little bit more of a common problem than I'm even aware of?
No, it's across the board. And I think the biggest thing with that is because you're emotionally attached to what's happening to you. So when you're giving advice, let's say, to someone else, you're not emotionally charged by it. There's nothing in it. You can see it objectively. You've become the observer, which is very hard to do when it's ourselves.
Right.
We can't, that's the key too. Step out of it, observe it. Don't take it personally. If someone says something or does something to you, it's like, okay, why am I reacting this way? And that's that beautiful part about self-discovery. Why am I charged by this? Why am I reacting this way? Why is this something that bothers me? Because your goal is to heal all those things that bother you, quote unquote, so that you can, you can feel good, bottom line. Because how you feel attracts everything.
Sure. A lot of times when you hear this, depending on the state of mind you're in, and I know I'm speaking generally, saying I know for myself at least, you tend to have it's easier said than done. You make it sound so easy. And then when you hear like advice from like television psychologists and stuff like that, and they're telling you that you seem to know it all. It's all going perfectly well for you. People get the idea that, you've got it all figured out. How do you comfort people into thinking that that's not really the case?
It's not really the case. I mean, I get it a lot where people say, my gosh, how in the world can you stay so positive every day?
Right.
I get this thing every day from you, and you're like Pollyanna sunshine.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Every day I'm not. And I'm a human being, too. I'm not a robot, and I feel things, and I go through things, and I'm still working on myself. I'm working on getting better every day, doing, the tools that I preach, I'm doing every day. But the difference is that I don't sit in it. I may go through it, but I want it to go through me. I don't want to sit in it. And you know what? Some days I do want to sit in it. Some days you just want to sit in it. But don't stay there. And
your words and your affirmations are as much for yourself as they are for everyone else. Let's face it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go back and look at an example of one of the ones. This is very random. I just pulled one up from my email. This is from June 17th. And This is Let Your Soul Shine Now, Diana Woods. We're going to give you info on how you can subscribe to this email. And what's great about it is if you're in the mood to read the affirmation, you can. If you're not, just skip over it. Look at it the next day or later that day if you like.
You know what happens too? Some days it's not even for you. Some days this will hit you and you will say, oh my gosh, she's reading my mind. What the heck's going on? Something scary is happening here. She knows exactly what I'm going through. And then other days it's for a friend. And other days they'll be like, yeah, that's nice. I don't need that today. But they're different every day, so they're going to hit you one way or another. You're going to resonate with it on one of the days.
This one says on the Friday the 17th of June, behold the turtle. He makes progress only when he sticks his neck out. James Bryant Conant, the chemist. Then listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts. The impossibles, the won'ts. Listen to the never haves. Then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. Shel Silverstein, American poet, musician, composer, cartoonist, screenwriter, author of children's books. Beautifully written, by the way. So how do you find these things? They're from people all over. You got Henry David Thoreau, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay. Let's see. Rhonda Byrne, Dale Carnegie, Buddha, Albert Einstein, our forefathers, they come from all over the place. What strikes the idea to put a string of these together into a theme?
Well, first I have an archive of quotes in my computer in the thousands. And so what I do each morning is I do a little meditation myself and get myself centered and decide what I want the theme to be for that day. And then I find the quotes that fit that theme. One thing I know is that people receive information differently, so I want to say it in different ways. So I'll put two quotes so that they say the same thing, but they're saying it in a different way, so that each person has a chance to resonate with it. And then I put my own take to those quotes, which actually took me some time to do. I never used to do that. I've been doing that for the last several years.
Very cool.
Yeah, I find it everywhere. Entertainment magazines, internet, I scour them everywhere.
These can be poets, philosophers, but they can also be celebrities and sports figures for that matter.
Everything from Lady Gaga to Abraham Lincoln.
All right. Now, at the risk of sort of exposing myself a little bit here, which we're definitely not going to do, I'm noticing something a little bit lately. Of course, I'm all over the social media, the net, or like we all are, picking up the phone all day long and checking in on Facebook. And I've noticed a trend lately, and this may point back a little bit to what I mentioned earlier about what's kind of going on in the world. And you just tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, but am I noticing a lot more very raw, emotional, sort of crying out posts from people lately? I just seem to be noticing a lot more, seeing sentences like, feeling broken inside, hate my life. Can't go on like this. I don't ever seem to get a break. Somebody wrote, I feel like nobody who ever said I love you ever meant it. I mean, is this a trend that's going on, or, and at the risk of sort of answering the question for you,
go ahead.
Is this just because I seem to be more in tune with those messages that I'm noticing them more readily? Have they always been there, or is this something you're actually noticing that is a growing sentiment?
I think it's just probably a direct reflection of the explosion of social media, whereas we didn't necessarily know what people were going through on a daily basis. We now know what they ate, where they've been, where they checked in. And so they feel like there's a little bit of a safe haven. You've got your kind of group of friends that rally to you and make you feel better when you post something like that. So it becomes a little like, here's what I'm going through, and then everybody kind of rushes in, no, you're great, and there's a great support system. I've actually seen that, and then the opposite. I don't know, sitting behind a computer, you feel like you can say anything you want to say. So I see a lot of bullying going on, a lot of, wow, you wouldn't say that to someone's face, and that disheartens me. I don't like to see that, because I just, all we need is love, and that's what anybody wants. I mean, I send this out to so many different people from so many different places, and we are all connected. We all want the same thing. We all want to be loved. We all want to be heard and seen and noticed, and that's really the core of where everybody's at. Then everything else you're going through kind of stems from that. Are you getting those things met?
And everybody seems to be growing a little bit more brave as time goes by and social media becomes more of a regular everyday thing for us. People are becoming a little more open and honest and brave with it, and that could be a good thing.
Right.
I mean, it could be a good thing not only for things like this, but for us coming together as a society, making things change, maybe having an influence in politics and government and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'd rather have people reach out, because you never want anyone suffering in silence. It's like, yeah, so that's the great thing, if you can reach out and get help, whether it's just that quick support from someone or real help if you're in real trouble. So that is the positive part of it all. We're
talking to Diana Woods, and we got a link right there on the Bill Murphy Show page where you can subscribe to her email. But for those of you who tuned in on iTunes, what's the procedure? How do they get in touch with you? They can go to your Facebook page, which is Let Your Soul Shine Now, but they can also subscribe how?
Yes, you can email me to get on the list, Diana@letyoursoulshinenow.com.
Okay. And then you'll just become part of the list.
And then I will put you on the list, and you'll get it every day. And you can, receive it for as long as you want. No pressure.
Opt out anytime you'd like. Let Your Soul Shine Now. You're using the word soul in there. How seriously do you take the word soul? It's something that's been a little bit more prevalent in my life lately. It's the theme of a lot of books that I've been reading. And how in tune with the whole soul and the activity of the soul and how much we're all connected beyond this material life are you?
100%, 1,000%. I mean, your soul is your core. It's where your highest connection is. I mean, we're here, my belief, living a physical life, but that we're connected to everything around us, the entire universe. No matter what you believe in, you're connected to your higher self, your higher power, however you want to say it. Your soul is your direct connection to all that. So this whole email inspiration is to give you tools to let your soul shine.
Literally, we can influence anything with our minds just basically because our soul is a transmitter receiver that reaches out to everything in the world that we're always connected to.
Yeah, I mean, your thoughts are a vibration, and they're your vibration out to the world. We are literally broadcasting, and that's right up your alley,
Yeah.
The radio broadcaster. Your thoughts are literally broadcasting to the world, and the world mirrors back your thoughts. Another way to look at it is you're a magnet. You're a magnet for everything you're thinking. And if you think that your potential is unlimited, that's what you will receive. I actually wrote something down because I wanted to make sure I said this correctly. One way to be aware, to just sort of remind yourself to be aware of your thoughts, ask yourself if what you're thinking about is either blocking or propelling you. Very simple. If you don't want to get into all the reading the books and doing all that, do one simple thing. When you have a thought, be aware of it, and what are you thinking about? Is it blocking you or propelling you? And then make the changes from there.
Right. I think the key is to kind of be able to just step out of the thought, getting trapped inside a thought and actually being locked into that is one thing. But being able to just sidestep it for a minute, look at what's happening to you with that thought and make a decision about this is not helping me, this is not useful, I have control of making this go away. I think once we just take that little effort to step outside of it, it becomes a lot easier to affect how your thoughts are, affecting you.
Exactly.
Right.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, you probably could have said it a lot better than that.
I don't think give yourself some credit. That's another thing. Give yourself credit.
You might be giving me a little too much credit on that. So Let Your Soul Shine Now. It's Diana Woods. We got a link to it. It's very inspirational. We were talking a little bit about these quotes, a collection of different thoughts from different people, different expressions and sayings. And you're really into how that immediate effect, because sometimes you do read a quote and go, whoa, and it just profoundly hits you really, really hard.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I love words, and I guess that's what drew me to the quotes. And I just love the way quotes just can so quickly shift your thinking and motivate you, because what we say to ourselves and believe is so important. Our thoughts create our reality, period.
A lot of this is visualization. Athletes use it too. If you can see something in your mind, you can actually make it happen. It does seem a little far-fetched, and maybe sometimes if you're not in tune to hearing that, you could go, yeah, right, like it's that easy. But it literally is true.
It is true. That's funny that you brought that up, because I was just thinking about that the other day. The Secret came out and made it a lot easier to understand about visualizing, and you can't just picture something, but think about what little kids do when they want something. Or think about when you were a teenager and you really wanted something. Say you wanted that car, you were working for the bike or whatever, and you hung it up in your room and you decided that's what I want to work for. That's up there as a visualization tool. Not that you're just hoping it's just going to magically appear in your living room, but when you're cutting that grass or washing those cars as a kid or whatever you're doing to earn the money for that, when you have that day where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, it's too hot, I'm about to pass out, I can't do this anymore, you go home and you look at that bike that you wanted, and you're like, that keeps me going. Mm-hmm. So it's that whole visualization of what do I want for my life? And it helps to visualize it. I mean, we put the thoughts that are in your head are just thoughts in your head. An idea in your head is never going to go anywhere. When you write it down in the physical and make it real, that's step one. And then you move from there to take action. And I have a couple quotes, too, if you want me to. I'd love to hear your immediate reaction.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Throw some quotes at me, and I'll let you know how I feel about it.
This is great. This is my dream come true. Immediate reaction. Because when I send out the email, I don't get it. You know, I'll get replies, and they'll be like, oh, you have no idea, and I love it.
It's funny. Before you move on, let me mention that, because I'm the kind of person, if I make a phone call to somebody and I leave a voicemail, I always go and I listen to that voicemail before I send it to hear how I sounded, the whole presentation. And then at the same time, when I'll send an email out to somebody that I really think is supposed to be important, as soon as I send it, I'll put myself in the shoes of the person receiving it and read it. to see sort of like get that effect from the other side. You know what I mean? I guess
That's good.
I guess you sort of kind of get the same feeling after you send these out every day. Oh, I wonder, I'd love to see the immediate reactions of people.
I'd love to, and I do get feedback. You know, you always wish it was more, but let me tell you, it touches my heart when I get it. It's everything from, my gosh, you have no idea how this shifted me today. Like, literally, you saved my life.
I needed to hear that right now. Right,
I needed that, or you're freaking me out. You've done it again. You know, I hear it all, and I love it. And it's not just, it's people from everywhere. So that's what I mean. Everybody's the same. We're all going through this together.
Okay, so throw some quotes at me.
Okay. Here's a good one. This one's from Vernon Howard, and he says, drop the wrong thought, and you lose the problem it creates.
Drop the wrong thought, and you lose the problem it creates.
Ah. And again, that's just another way of saying changing your thought.
I see.
Can change the outcome.
Right. So you just take care of the whole situation right there. Okay, this bad thought, that's out. Now the problem's gone because I just created it myself anyway.
Because that's really, again, your thoughts are your reality. What you think about what's happening. Okay, before I even say that, that's what this next quote is. This next quote is a little deeper.
Okay, but hang on. But on that note still, no, I'm not done with the last thought. No, it basically means that if you say you have a problem, that's because you're perceiving whatever this is that's happening as a problem. You could just as easily say that something it means something, and there's a reason for this, and I know how to overcome this. Therefore, it's not a problem.
Right. So you can become an observer of it and say, okay, here's my problem, and then you have these thoughts about it, and then you can look at it and become an observer, and change your perception of that problem, and depending on what you're thinking, turn it into an opportunity, turn it into something else.
Yep. Perspective. A lot of it is perspective.
Perspective. Thank you for the word.
Okay, go ahead. Next one.
Next one. This is by Marcus Aurelius. If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now.
Sort of what we just said.
Exactly.
Right. So these two are sort of connected, these last two quotes that you did.
Correct.
They sort of tie into the same theme.
And then lastly, Joe Vitale is a real short one. Remember that money will always match your mindset.
Huh.
Exactly.
Well,
so what are your thoughts around money? Were you brought up thinking that money grows on trees, that you have to work hard for the money? I mean, somebody wrote a song about that, right?
Yeah.
Several money doesn't come. Right. You're right. Money doesn't come easily to me. I'm not good enough to make that kind of money. I can't do that. What are your thoughts surrounding money? When you change your thoughts around, and you can apply that to anything. What are your thoughts around love? What are your thoughts around abundance? What are your thoughts? And that's how you figure out how your thoughts are affecting your reality.
Right.
Are they blocking me, or are they propelling me? You know, it's fascinating stuff, and it's simple in its concept, yet we have to do it every day to perfect it, to get...
You have to keep on yourself, because I've even noticed I can read something very profound and very meaningful and then just have it go away like in a matter of minutes. You almost have to, if you find that great book and you have that moment where you read something, even one of your affirmations, and it hits you hard enough, go back and visit it again 5-10 minutes later or half hour later, because you just want to reinforce it. It's very important. Reinforcing
it, and then it really boils down to believing it. And that's why looking for anything external of yourself doesn't last. You know, someone tells you, hey, you look good, or hey, that dress is pretty, or hey, that suit looks good on you, or hey, good job. If you don't feel that way yourself, that outside influence, that outside compliment will last a couple of minutes. You'll be like, yeah, great, thanks. You'll be all high on it, and you'll think I'm great. And then next day, half an hour later, unless you believe it, it's not going to stick because it's not coming from you. So that's where this work comes in, is saying these affirmations until you get to the point where, hey, this is really true. And that's why I'm so passionate about this daily thing. And that's why I put in what I say, reminding you today. That's huge. I want to remind you today of who you really are, so when this outside stuff keeps affecting you, you go back and you remember how magnificent and powerful you are.
Right. I like the way you steer the message at that point. You said, reminding you today, in case you're just like reading through it or just like sort of browsing through it, you actually get that little kick in the butt saying, hey, I'm reminding you, by the way, this is something that means something because of who you are and what you're capable of doing. So
that's right.
Diana Woods, it's so great to get you on the show. I knew that we'd walk away from this learning something, and it's Let Your Soul Shine Now, and you can get in on that list and get emailed every morning with it by emailing you at where?
Diana at letyoursoulshinenow.com. I'm still working on the website.
Let Your Soul Shine Now. I noticed that. I could help you out with that a little bit.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Now, Let Your Soul Shine Now, it's a very, very cool title. How did you come up with the name of that? There is sort of a story behind it that we talked about before I got you on here. And there's a song that sort of wraps it all together that we'll close off the show with and let everybody listen to, because that in itself is a pretty inspirational song, too.
That's so cool. You're giving me chills. Years ago, first of all, when I sent this out in the beginning, it was just called Thoughts of the Day. It was like, here's your thought of the day. And then I was listening, to Beth Hart, who's one of my favorite female singers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, super passionate style. And she did a song called Soul Shine. And at the time, I thought it was original. I didn't know that it was a cover of the Allman Brothers, which I'm so glad I heard her version because she's so passionate. She brings that out in me.
Mm-hmm.
But I listened to that song and I had tears in my eyes, and I thought that song just struck me of how shining your soul is better than anything. And I thought that's exactly the message I want to send out in these daily reminders, to let your soul shine and get the most out of life. And that was it. The next day or two, I called it Let Your Soul Shine Now, and that was it.
So now, all of a sudden, in the course, that's very, very cool, by the way, and very meaningful, and it's a really cool way to wrap up the show. We'll play that. But I'm noticing a little change in your tone here. You sound a little more comfortable doing this audio version of your inspirations than you thought you would be.
You did it. You're going to get complete credit for getting me out of my comfort zone and into this.
Maybe we should start the Let Your Soul Shine Now podcast, you know? I could co-host it with you.
There you go.
That way
I would love that.
I could kill so many birds with one stone with that guy. I get to revisit my affirmations. I get to reinforce stuff and then learn something new from you every day. Diana Woods, thank you so much for being on the show with me.
You're so welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a brand new phase of the Bill Murphy Show at BillMurphyShow.com. Again, please subscribe at iTunes. It doesn't have to be annoying. You can just subscribe to the podcast and then tell your phone, don't download new episodes. I'll get them when I want. Or just come to BillMurphyShow.com. Visit us on Facebook. Share, like, and thank you so much.
Subscribe to the Bill Murphy Show podcast for free at iTunes. You can post comments about today's show, listen to archived episodes, and like the show on Facebook by visiting BillMurphyShow.com. A presentation of Bill Murphy Productions.
When you can't find the light that got you through a cloudy day, when the stars ain't shining bright, you feel like you lost your way. When the candlelight of home burns so very far away, where you gotta let your soul shine, just like my mama used to say. She used to say, soul shine, it's better than sunshine, it's better than moonshine, damn sure better than a rain. And if the people don't mind, we all feel this way sometimes. You gotta let your soul shine, shine through the break of day. Growing up, I thought I had it made. I could make it on my own. But life can take the strongest man, make him feel so all alone. Now sometimes I feel the cold wind blowing through my aching bones. I think back on what my daddy said. He's saying, girl, it's the darkest before the dawn. Let your soul shine. It's better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. Damn sure better than rain. And if the people don't mind, we all feel this way sometimes. You gotta let your soul shine, shine through the break of day. Sometimes a man can feel his emptiness, like a woman is shot down to his bare soul. And a woman too, God knows, she can feel like this. And when the world seems cold, you gotta let your spirit take control. You gotta let your soul shine. It's better than sunshine. It's better than moonshine. Damn sure better than rain. And if the people don't mind, we all feel this way sometimes. You gotta let your soul shine, shine through the break of day. You gotta let your soul shine.